Me detuvieron el 10 de mayo del 2007, alrededor de la 1:30 de la tarde, en el Parque Central, sin mostrarnos ninguna orden de aprehensión. Ese día me pegaron por detrás, caí en el suelo.
Rosa Lopez's harrowing experience in 2007 was not an isolated case. For decades, Mexico's criminal justice system was plagued by systemic human rights abuses. Torture was routinely used to secure convictions, particularly against vulnerable populations. In 2008, a shift was promised, a sweeping criminal justice reform aimed to end this practice.
The 2008 criminal justice reform in Mexico sought to increase the protections for suspect rights. So it introduced rights such as the right for a quality defense, also due process rights, which means that the authorities need to respect the suspect rights throughout the procedure as they detain them and gather evidence, and also the presumption of innocence, which means that suspects are innocent until proven guilty.
Our research has delved deep into the impact of Mexico's landmark 2008 criminal justice reform. What we've uncovered reveals a complex picture.
A pivotal 2020 study conducted by Magaloni and Rodriguez at the Poverty, Violence, and Governance Lab at Stanford University analyzed data from over 58,000 imprisoned individuals across Mexico. The study draws from the National Survey of the Population Deprived of Liberty, NPOL, conducted by Mexico's statistics agency, INEGI. The survey includes questionnaires covering prisoners' backgrounds, their criminal justice system experiences, and their lives in prison. This includes whether the inmate experienced the following during the pre-trial phase: brute force, being kicked or bitten with objects; institutionalized torture, being crushed with a heavy object, electrocuted, burned, stabbed, and suffocated or submerged in water while in custody; threats, being threatened by authorities with false charges or harm to the detainee's family.
So with those surveys, we can really track what happened to a prisoner once already is in prison, when that person was arrested, and whether at that time in the place of arrest the reform had been introduced or not. So that's the main empirical strategy that I use to be able to say what happened once the reform is introduced in the place of arrest.
Torture was so widespread in Mexico as a means to extract confessions and secure convictions that 66% of prisoners reported being subjected to brute force, 54.1% to torture, and 65% to threats. We can statistically demonstrate that the criminal justice reform caused a reduction in the use of torture by 19%. Brute force by 20%, and threats by 17%.
We've seen how Mexico's criminal justice reform made it harder for prosecutors to use those old-school tactics. If they can't rely on forced confessions anymore, what are they doing instead? Are police and prosecutors finding new ways to build their cases? In our 2025 study, Fabricated Justice, we dug into a core tension within any justice system. How do you effectively fight crime while also protecting human rights? What we found was a concerning shift. Instead of using confessions obtained through torture, prosecutors and police are increasingly fabricating crimes by planting drugs and guns. Look at this graph. We see a drastic increase in the use of things like drugs, guns, or even clothes as evidence. It also shows that Mexican prosecutors are not always able to use high-quality forensic evidence such as DNA, blood, and fingerprints to convict suspects. A rise in fabricated evidence cases, including planted drugs and weapons. Under pressure to secure convictions, police officers increasingly relied on evidence tampering rather than actual investigation.
So the reform made police officers and prosecutors work harder. They have to work more in order to collect the evidence, and judges were also more strict in supervising their work. The problem was that the reform didn't guarantee enough resources to train, or even the material resources that the police officers and prosecutors needed to fulfill the new legal standards. So in reaction to this, to a lack of training and lack of material resources, police officers and prosecutors have been finding ways to circumvent the new restrictions, the new legal restrictions of the reform. So a negative consequence of the reform that I've studied is that criminal fabrications, framing up, such as planting evidence like weapons or drugs on suspects, has recently increased.
The ripple effects of fabricated justice are profound. Families of the wrongfully convicted often face financial ruin, emotional trauma, and lasting stigma, while the real perpetrators remain free, further eroding public trust in the justice system.
Some of the three institutions that Mexicans distrust the most are police, prosecutors' offices, and judges. Police is systematically the institution that Mexicans distrust the most. Even more than political parties and Congress people, Mexicans distrust the police.
The 2008 Mexican criminal justice reform was a massive undertaking, designed to dismantle a system that had previously enabled serious human rights abuses by police, prosecutors, and even judges. The goal was to protect citizens, but they also created unintended challenges. There was a critical lack of investment in capacity building. That left police and prosecutors without the necessary tools to effectively investigate and prosecute crimes. In the face of rising insecurity and growing public pressure for results, many law enforcement officials started taking shortcuts. We've seen a concerning rise in practices like planting evidence to secure convictions. This behavior is driven by a perverse set of incentives that prioritize arrests and case closures over actually delivering real justice. These incentives can be changed.
Both in training police to become true police officers, empowering them, because I imagine there are, as my experience working in Brazil with police, there are many individuals who actually want to do a really good job. It's not that every single police officer is corrupt and is violent. I don't think that's the case, but they are not empowered by their institutions to really do a good job. They are very poorly paid. Very few states in Mexico really have a career for police officers with guarantees for their families, for themselves, in terms of health and in terms of, like a decent livelihood. And I think this reform has not been there.
If you're interested in delving deeper into our research, find the complete study at the link provided in the video description. Follow us on our social media channels to stay updated with PovGov's work. Is it possible to have a justice system that upholds human rights and ensures public safety? Let us know in the comments below.